So grateful you're here at the mat today. Let's start off on our backs. I want to take time to get us deeply into our breath and our core before we try to move our bodies through space. Also, many of us have probably been sitting a fair bit today or even standing, and this is a chance to kind of decompress the spine, give it a little more space. As you lay down, if your back feels uncomfortable, then for sure have the knees bent. Otherwise, you might explore extending the legs. And this offers a nice release through those hip flexors and that deep psoas muscle that I often refer to. And those areas get so tight when we've been sitting. Please find your comfortable position and let's find that inward gaze. Turn your vision up and in as if looking behind the center of the forehead. What do you see there? What's behind your eyelids? Colors? Darkness? And then please join me in sighing breaths. So we're gathering the inhale through the nose, if you can, slow, deep, and wide, filling our whole breath space, chest and belly. And on the exhale through the mouth, releasing. Continue, please. Inhaling, asking, is there more? Is there more? We'll do a few more like this. We know that sighing breaths offer a release and a relaxation in the amygdala, the alarm center of the brain. So this is an opportunity to tell your body and being, your nervous system, I am well, I am whole, I am safe. It's also a great way to unwind the doer, the part of us that strives, and to affirm this is my yoga practice. There's nothing to accomplish. In fact, you've done it, you've gotten to the mat. That's it. Last one. And then please begin to roll your head side to side. What's in your neck today? What kind of day have you had so far? And then coming back to center, you might also explore with reaching your chin up and back, and then pressing your chin towards the chest, reaching it up and back and towards the chest. So you're really lengthening and shortening the front and back of your neck. We're going to come from here into breath awareness. And sometimes it helps to have the hands on the abdomen to really make sure that it's moving. If we're just getting breath into the chest and we're doing chest breathing, that's going to keep us in our sympathetic nervous system. It's more about fight and flight. And we want to come into that deep belly bliss breath. So tuning in, notice where you feel breath in your body in this moment. Can you get the abdomen to expand up into your hands? And from there, it should feel like it kind of rolls up into your chest like a wonderful wave. Inviting you to add some more points of awareness, taking the tip of the tongue, the roof of the mouth, just behind the front teeth. The rest of the tongue is soft. And now add your ujjayi, great sounding breath. Contract the throat a little bit so that as you breathe, the breath is moving through that throat valve and it makes the whooshing sound of wind or ocean waves. If you've had a particularly mentally busy day, then you might try kind of calming and clearing the mind with your Ujjayi breath. And you can plug your ears a little to hear that breath sweeping the surface of your mind. Can you find the moment of pause that exists between the active breath, between inhale and exhale? If you're not finding that pause, it may be that you're rushing the breath. Try and ask, is there more to keep you in witnessing and finding those beautiful, soft moments of pause? And we can create that throughout our practice. It's harder as we get more physically active, but it's something to return to over and over. Continuing with your inward gaze, light connection of the tongue, Ujjayi breath. I'm going to bring us into compression exhale, expansion inhale. So on your exhale, firmly draw your abdomen towards your spine, anchor it into the floor, and you should feel that your pelvis kind of tilts upward as a result. Keep emptying, keep pressing down through the abdominal muscles. You can use your fingers to tell those muscles, get involved. Emptying, emptying until there's nothing left, and then soften and allow the inhale to breathe you. Isn't it nice that you don't have to do everything? Sipping in a little extra. And again, so we're going to be here in exhaling compression, inhaling expansion. When you're in that deep engagement of the abdominal muscles, invite the softening of the neck. For those of us who tend to be kind of shruggers or neck tighteners, this is a great place to practice letting the core do all of the heavy lifting in our life and to not take it into those more delicate muscles that aren't designed for it. All right, a couple more. Asking, is there more? Is there more? The next time you inhale, inviting you to sweep or reach the arms overhead and flex the feet. You might also roll ankles and wrists if that feels inspired. And then on your exhale, compression, bring those arms into your sides and create rock pose. So we're going to tighten the hands into fists, anchor the arms into the side body, shoulders anchor, butt cheeks, thighs. You can even scrunch up the face. Emptying, emptying, emptying when there's nothing left. Inhale, soften, arms overhead again. And exhaling, compression with rock pose. Perhaps you'd even like to turn it into a sit-up. If so, you're lifting your torso, but without any neck strain. If that's bothering you, then leave it on the floor. Arms reaching overhead during the inhale, adding any little organic movements that feel inspired. And exhaling, compression with rock pose. You might even raise the legs off the floor. Last one here. Inhaling, release arms overhead again and hold. And inviting you to reach firmly through the right arm and right heel so you're getting really long in that side. And then the other. Continuing in this reach from side to side as you breathe. And the next time your right arm is overhead, if you can, clasp the wrist with your left hand and pull to your left. Again, really flexing and reaching through the feet. And switch. Release. We're going to bring right knee in for release wind pose. Heels are flexed, shoulder heads anchor, elbows in. This is a great place, by the way, to start practicing the shoulder heads anchoring and elbows squeezing that get your lats involved. And that's what we want during our dog series as well. So right here, find those muscles, stay soft on the neck. Big inhale. Belly expanding, exhale, there's room to draw the thigh back in. And you might continue just here or add a little sit-up motion on the exhale. That left foot is firmly flexed and reaching away. And it's as if you want to kiss your knee. You might also appreciate your amazing feet and everything they've done for you today. Inhaling, releasing. Exhaling and release wind pose a sit-up. Remember, shoulder heads anchor, elbows in. One more like this. And releasing to the floor with your spine, keeping a hold of the knee. We're going to take it first out to the right, just briefly. And I want you to see how firmly can you stay anchored through your left side of the body as you bring your knee out to the right. Don't let yourself roll away from the mat. If it helps, bring that left arm out into a T on the floor. Then we're going to make it a little harder. Stay anchored. Take that right leg straight or straight-ish out into your waiting hand. So that right leg is trying to straighten towards the wall out to your right side, but it doesn't matter if it ever gets fully straight. We just want to have that nice weight to counterbalance and enjoy the hamstring stretch, maybe calf stretch. Good. Breathing, even though you're using those core muscles to anchor. One more big inhale. Exhale, bend the knee and cross all the way to the left for spinal twist. Now, if this is not comfortable for you, you're going to bend both knees up under each other in embryo pose. We want to have the bent knee straight forward of the hip or higher. And if you are having one leg straight, it's flexed and really reaching. Reach out behind you with your back arm and begin to explore, oh, what is in your shoulder, upper back, and neck today. Find your place of best stretch, please, and bring a few really deep breaths in. We need to breathe past the resistance of this twist, so be willful, intentional. Is there more? Last one. And coming back to center, release that right leg into your corpse pose and breathe. Notice. You might even add a sighing breath. It feels so good to get into our bodies and start moving stagnant energy and waking up sleepy muscles. Coming into release wind pose, left knee in. Shoulder heads anchor, elbows kind of wing in, and of course, feet flex. Neck is soft. Big belly breath. It's like you're trying to get your heels as far apart as you can. And this is wonderful massage for the ascending and descending colon, and it really helps with digestion and efficient healing in the body. One more coming into that sit-up motion. Actually, we'll do another one after this. Make sure it's even. Again, you're really trying to stay rooted and centered, so notice if you're kind of peeling out to the outside. And releasing. We're going to take that left knee out into the left hand. But before you do, willfully anchor through that core body so that your right butt cheek and ribs are staying rooted. You might take the right arm out into a T. Good. Breathing. And as you're ready, explore with extending through that left leg. It can feel good sometimes to kind of pulse. So sometimes I'll kind of bend and then straighten. And again, we do a lot of flexing with the feet, which is really important for our core stability. But if you start getting a little intense in the ankle and so on, just give them a little roll out. Good. Let's come back to center. Nice long exhale, crossing over into spinal twist to the right. Reaching open through that back arm. And you begin sweeping and exploring. Again, flexing through that floor leg. It's hard to remember actually flexing through both feet. It's easy to forget about those feet with so much going on up at the upper end of our body. Find your best place of stretch here with the arm and fill with a couple of really deep breaths. Is there more? And slowly back to center. Release that leg to the floor. We're coming into abdominal pumping. If you're more comfortable with feet flat under the knees, go for it. Otherwise, nice long inhale. Slow, deep and wide. Exhale, empty. Hold the breath out and begin your pumping. You're taking your belly towards your spine and towards the sky until you need to breathe and let it go. Marvelous. Planting the feet for bridge pose. We'd like to have them no more than maybe 4 or 5 inches apart. Upper arms anchoring so that you can already feel a little shoulder blade sandwich. Big inhale, exhale, press the hips up to bridge. How's that feel today? Sometimes to me it feels good to release a little bit and reinvigorate that upper edge of the pose. Remember to keep engaging your thighs towards each other as if you were squeezing a block. Good. I'm going to place my hands on my hip bones so that I can pay better attention as I add leg extension. You'll find, by the way, it's easier with the feet closer together. And this pose is hard enough to do well. We don't need to add that extra challenge, especially because if it's too hard, we tend to compensate with our neck. So notice as you're extending the leg, if you're feeling any back pain, first of all, come down a little with the hips, but also you could just do a foot hover, right? And then notice if you are dropping one hip, what does it take to get it to raise back up to equal? If you talk to the standing leg and butt, usually that works. And releasing knees to belly. We're going to come into our happy baby here. This is such a valuable stretch, especially again if you've been sitting a lot. Some of us will be able to reach up and grab the feet at the blade of the foot or the big toe. Others will want to have the hands around the ankles or go as high up as you need to for a little support. You can even use a strap over the arches. Draw those knees down towards the floor. Shoulder heads are anchored, tilting the tailbone towards the floor. Deep belly breath. Exhale, bringing the feet together in butterfly, and if you'd like, adding a sit-up. Make sure you draw down through the core to initiate that. And you can roll a little side to side, or even do what I call windshield wipering, where you're trying to bring one foot towards the head as if you wanted to kiss it. And release. Take those feet wide now. So it's like I call kind of a horse riding stance. It's like bridge, but with the feet wide. Big inhale. Exhale, press up. Inhale, come on down. Exhaling, press up. So you're going to do this to your breath. Everyone's got a different pace. Try to get those inhales deep, even if you're drawing them in quickly, which we tend to use in some pumping motions. And release. Nice. We're going to come into pigeon, and I'm going to be offering a different pigeon today. If you know you like reclined alternate pigeon, as we call it, you're just going to stay on your back, right ankle crossed. Otherwise, come with me onto hands and knees or however you want to get there. We're going to bring the right knee forward behind the right wrist. And for this version that I'm going to offer you, we do need to have the hip bones facing the floor, not rolled out to the side like we sometimes offer. So if this doesn't work for you, then do the back body version. But I'm going to invite you to, first of all, just come on down towards the mat a little bit and enjoy that stretch in the right hip, right glute. We're really trying to get into the piriformis muscle there in the butt. And then I'm going to ask you to see if you can come onto the ball of your foot, your back foot, and flex your leg towards the ceiling. I'm kind of pumping in and out of that just to wake up those muscles. Our hamstrings tend to be too tight, but also too weak and kind of over elongated. So I'm really wanting to ignite them here. If you can come up on your hands with elbows bent, please do. And from here, I'm going to invite you now to do tractioning. So you're pulling your front leg towards your back foot. It's as if you wanted to shorten the yoga mat, but you're not actually moving your body. All right. Do one more. See if you can hold that tractioning. And then I want you to see if you can just walk your hands a little closer to your knees and see if you can lift them off the floor. Maybe you can just lift one off the floor. You're using a lot of core strength, and I hope especially that back leg. Briefly see if you can get both hands off the floor. I'm using mine in a nice jet airplane shape. And release. And we're going to switch. So whatever version of pigeon you're doing, I like to release the knee and kind of give it a little kick. I call it a donkey kick, like you're kicking down a barn door. And then bring the other leg forward. It's super interesting to notice in this version of pigeon with the tractioning, are the two sides very different? You might already be aware of that in your body. So initially, kind of come on down, enjoy that stretch, and just move your hips a little side to side. Deep breath. Hello, hips. Then coming onto the ball of that back foot, extending that thigh towards the sky a couple times, until you really feel that you've been able to wake up your quadricep, that's that muscle at the front there, and get that leg straight. You'll probably also feel your butt cheek kind of light up. And when you're ready, I'd like you to just begin tractioning and softening. So it's a wonderful way to wake things up, to notice what's happening so you don't overdo. Breathe. And slowly see if you can walk your hands closer to your leg. Is this side different? And then see if you can release the hands from the floor. Breathe. And in your own time, release. And again, let's relax those legs. If you're on the back, you might do a little windshield wipering. And then we're going to all come onto our front body. So as you're ready, come on down. Tent those fingertips in jet airplane behind you. Anchor through the pelvis and inhaling, extend, reaching the hands off the floor behind, reaching for the wall behind you. Maybe your spine's extending. Exhale, return. Inhale, anchor, and extend. You can also add the legs, of course. If you're doing that, make sure the thigh bones are facing the floor, that you're not angling your feet out. One more, and if you can hold some version of this, and inviting you to pulse the hands. So you're going to do a little bellows breath. If you're really stuffy or something that doesn't feel good, just breathe normally. But either way, pulsing the hands like you're kind of rapidly compressing balls into the side of your hips. Rapid bellows breath in and out through the nose. See if you've got a few more in there. Big inhale, exhaling. Turn your head to one side. Is there more? I really want us to get good at breathing and settling in between some intensity that we do. All right, we're going to come into a little forearm plank here. So it's a great chance to check out how you're feeling. Are you in your core tonight? Let's rotate those shoulder heads down. And if you're wanting to start on your knees, then you simply tuck the tailbone, leaving the legs, the knees on the floor. Otherwise, coming onto the balls of the feet, imagine that you're squeezing a block between your thighs. Send those thigh bones towards the sky, then tuck the tailbone or push off the floor for your forearm plank. And then just see if you can shimmy a little bit. So just take your chest a little right and left. Good. And release. Turn your head to one side, deep breath. Settle in as if you were going to be here for a really long time. Resting on the forehead, plant the hands, elbows in, shoulder heads down, cobra. Inhaling, draw that heart forward. Exhaling, soften. I'm going to do this a few times, and then I'm going to invite us to press back to downward facing dog. So nice, strong exhale, ujjayi, to get into your core. Butt cheeks stay contracted as I push with my hands, and then send the hips up and back. Begin by pedaling the feet in your dog. Keeping the knees kind of bent really helps us also get a nice, more open position in the shoulders. Oh, yeah. Give your head a little shake with gravity. Good. And then on your inhale, flowing into upward facing dog. So again, if this is too much, you just go right to knees, relax the feet, and bring the hips towards the floor as you reach that heart forward. Return to downward facing dog. Exhaling. Remember, you can always add a nice sigh if you'd like. Inhaling, upward facing dog, either on the feet or the knees. Make sure if you're on your feet, those thighs are activated. Otherwise, it'll go right to our low back. No fun. Drishti gaze between the feet. One more. And release onto your knees, nice and wide for child's pose. Good. Relax those wrists, roll them out. A nice deep centering breath. Nice long inhale. Using the exhale to round into kind of a cat back, tuck that tailbone, and come on up. We're going to return to downward facing dog, little cow cat to get there. Nice long inhale. Exhaling, rounding. Downward facing dog. And bring those feet fairly close together. We're going to be releasing the legs one at a time, and it makes it easier to just do good work here. Connect your core and slowly take that right leg up and back. It's as if I wanted to walk on the wall behind me with my right foot. Notice if you've bent your elbows or slid sideways. You could be doing this in table, by the way, as a beautiful alternate. Slowly return that foot. Find stable. Left leg flying. Notice. Got some good heat going probably by now because we're using a lot of muscles, a lot of energy if we're doing it right. And release. Awesome. Slowly walk the hands back to the feet, really taking time to push and extend. And ragdoll. Deep belly breath and ragdoll. And while you're here, just enjoy kind of sweeping the area around the feet. This has a nice way of bringing some stretches into the IT bands and the hamstrings. Nice compression exhale. On your next inhale, extend halfway up, hands on shins. On the exhale, sit to chair. Make sure that you've got a nice kind of neutral spine. If you're not sure, hyper tuck, feel those muscles, and then find neutral. We don't want to be tilted back. Arms are straight forward or prayer hands. See if you can go a little lower. Just one more breath. Inhale, root and rise. Exhaling, Anjali Mudra, prayer hands at your heart space. Pause, breathe, and settle. We're going to be doing some lunging forward. So if you've got any ankle, knee stuff or whatever that this would be difficult, do it in little hops or just step backwards instead. But as you're ready, I want you to bring your right knee up, draw into your core body, and slowly step forward as lightly as you can. Find your balance, right hip bone back, left hip bone forward. Inhale here, prayer hands. Exhale, rotate to your right and extend your arms. So it's like warrior two, except rotated the other way, kind of, right? Inhale, hands in prayer, but you're in your crescent lunge here. Exhale, rotate to your right. One more. Inhale, center. Exhaling, downward facing dog. Plant the hands and step back. Inhale, exhale, sigh. Invitation for full dog series. Again, might be on your knees, or you could do up dog, down dog like we did a moment ago. Inhaling plank. Pause. Make sure you feel really strong and stable. Exhaling, slow, low push-up, chaturanga. Maybe you go even with the elbows. I always like to do cobra on the first round, and maybe thereafter, just see how your body feels. Exhaling, downward facing dog. Slowly walk those hands back. You're really taking time to push through. Nice long breath. Inhaling, extend halfway up, hands on shins. Exhaling, sit to chair. If you'd like a little more balance effort, you can come onto the balls of the feet. Check in with all the parts of the body that are engaging here. The tongue should still just be soft, just the tip of it connecting at the roof of the mouth. Inhaling, root and rise. Exhaling, prayer hands. Really start using that ujjayi here. It'll help us out. Inhaling, bring that left knee up. Exhaling, strong core, drawing back as you step lightly forward. And maybe not, you never know. All we can do is try. Left hip bone back, right hip bone forward. Nice core connection. Inhaling, prayer hands. As you exhale and rotate left to extend those arms, make sure that that back foot is staying really nice and stable, that you're not giving up your legs and doing something funky. Inhaling, center. Exhaling, rotate. Last time. Feel that core kind of winding. I think of it as like wringing a kitchen rag or something. Inhaling, return. Exhaling, downward facing dog. Try to lift that knee and foot rather than drag it. Inhale, exhaling, sigh. And notice in your body what's perfect in this moment. Holding, settling into child's pose, or joining me in dog series flow. Inhaling to your plank. Check that your weight is in the full palm. Exhaling, chaturanga. We want our chest to actually precede our hips. Inhaling, either upward facing dog or cobra with hips on the floor. And downward facing dog. Slowly walk the hands back, pushing, pushing, pushing. Again, add sighing breaths anytime. Inhaling, extend halfway up. Exhaling, sit to chair. And remember, you don't have to go super deep, right? You could be up here a little bit. but it's a really nice wake up for those legs. Breathing inside of the intensity. We bring breath even inside the effort. Inhaling, root and rise, stand up. Exhaling, step sideways on your mat, 5-pointed star. So we want to get those feet nice and wide. Take time to actually look that they are straight forward, heels straight back. And check, please, that you feel really anchored in the inner foot and outer foot. So we don't want our feet peeling away. I'm going to start with hands on hips and just slowly start going side to side. This might be the first time today that your feet have been wider than your hips. I hope not, but that would make you incredibly normal. So this is a chance to really lubricate those joints, let the partnering muscle groups balance out a little bit. This is also a really powerful movement, right? It's like speed skating kind of, except slow-mo. So we're going to add to it, but make sure that your movement to the side is coming from that straightening leg. You can almost think about whoosh, skating, right? So when you're ready, go ahead and add arms if you'd like to. So I'm going to kind of reach across. I've got my other arm kind of counter reaching back, so it's really active. And you don't have to go way to your side, right? We're kind of reaching forward and across our body. And the next time you're to one side, hold, breathe, feel that ignition from the grounding foot through that reaching hand, and switch. Good. And if you can, take your hands to the floor to one by one foot or the other. If that's too much, then you'll have your hands on your thigh. And see if you can really sink in now to a stretch, letting the hips kind of move towards the floor. Again, keeping that foot rooted, letting the head hang perhaps. And slowly to the other side. Nice deep stretch. Are the two sides different? And releasing to center. Bring the feet in a little bit. Invitation to fold the torso through the thighs. Nice deep inhale, exhale, compression, and try and draw your chest through the space. Not really, but you go that direction. And you can even have your hands on your calves to kind of assist with that. Then invitation, if you'd like, for yoga mudra. So intertwining the hands behind the back. Reminder that you can also grab a strap or a scarf if you have a hard time straightening the arms with that hand clasp. This is your alternative, and go as wide as you need to really enjoy that stretch. And we're going to take our hands now all the way to the front of the mat and step back downward facing dog. Nice exhale, strong core, ujjayi. Take your feet wide, if you will, and your hands wide. And we're going to do actually a bear pose. So I want you to bend your knees as deeply as you can. Shoulder heads are rotating out away from the ears. Good. And now inhale, come forward. Exhale, press back. And do that a couple more times. Good. Now coming a little forward and holding, see if you can raise one hand at a time off of your mat. Don't go high, just release and reach. Nice. Awesome. And relax. Bring those knees to the outsides of the mat. And you can either go to child's pose, or a real favorite for me is this kind of seated meditation pose to rest, come out of an introversion for a moment. You can roll out those wrists. It's also nice to check in with the neck. Sometimes you can roll your head and get a release. All this inversion work and then the upper body stuff can really help the neck let go. So I'm going to offer a little flow here of downward dog, leg flying, moving into some warrior flow. If that does not work for you, then you're just going to come to the front of the mat or back of the mat and step into your crescent lunge, right leg at the front. When you're ready to join me, downward facing dog, nice core support. Breath takes you there. Inhale, exhale, sigh. Again, you might start with your feet a little closer so that you send that right leg flying. You're nice and stable. Maybe you want to bend the right knee and open that right hip a moment, really pressing with both arms. Good. Exhaling, right foot forward. We're in our nice low lunge here. We're going to come on up. Before you do, make sure right hip bone back, left hip bone forward, and come on up. If you didn't get your lunge as deep as you need to, then just keep scooching that front foot forward. Find your right version of this pose. Where do your arms need to be for a relaxed neck? We're going to enjoy one more long inhale and then transition to Virabhadrasana 2, planting that back foot and opening to the left side of the mat. We want our body flat, like it's between two panes of glass. All the energy is rooted at the back and sending it forward. But remember, the torso is just suspended almost like we're a puppet. We don't want to be reaching or striving. Breath rising and settling. Inhaling, exalted warrior. Reach up, straighten that front leg, and hold here for a breath or two. Always letting the inhale have room. So sometimes people reach and really strive. Let the breath just bob you like an object on a wave. And on your next exhale, slowly flow forward. Lateral stretch, elbow to thigh. Check that your right waist is reaching up into the left. And then deepening your stretch. So I like taking my left hand, reaching out beyond the left or beyond the head to get a deep stretch down that left side of the body. As you're ready, begin making a nice circle with the arm, but also with your chest. So I'm kind of looking towards the floor as I sweep down and then back and up. And as I'm making all of this movement in the torso, the lower body is staying really rooted. Last one, exhaling, plant the hands, step back, downward facing dog. Reduce the swoosh. Opportunity to rest, pump, hold, dog series. Inhaling plank. Go as slow as you can. Is there more? And we'll all meet in downward facing dog again, bringing the feet fairly close together. Slow journey, left leg flying. Beautiful. Both arms working equally. Bend that left knee and open up the left hip. Reaching that knee a little higher to the sky. And then neutraling the hips and spine before you bring that foot forward. Good. Get those hips shining straight forward on your low lunge. Inhale, come on up. Again, where would your arms like to be? You can even add movement here, slicing arms, for example, if you're wanting to continue more heat, more cardiovascular challenge. Ujjayi, slow, deep and wide, best you can. One more long inhale. Is there more? And on the exhale, transitioning Virabhadrasana 2. And we might have platter hands. We might look out behind us and forward again. But we want to practice really getting those shoulders stacked so that that body is aligned. Hmm. Inhaling exalted warrior, straightening the front leg, reach up. Make sure that those thigh muscles are really squeezing towards the bone. I'm not just straightening and locking the knee at all. One more long inhale. And I say long, but of course, again, as we're getting more active, the breath will get faster. Exhaling, lateral stretch. Elbow to thigh is your starting point. And again, get those shoulders nice and stacked, and then reaching out beyond the head, or if you have an alternate shape you like playing with partial bind or just straight to the sky. And before we begin to circle on this side, just give your mental attention to that back leg and really engaging the left butt cheek towards the right edge of the mat so that you're really in a stable base. And then on your exhale, rotate a little towards the floor, sweeping with the hand, making a big circle, rotating your chest towards the floor, then the wall, then the sky. Oh, it feels so good. And then on a nice deep exhale, Ujjayi, core support, downward facing dog. So you always come onto the ball of that back foot, anchor the shoulders, and then release. And if you need to do it in multiple movements, that's what you do. Nice long inhale, exhale, sigh. We're going to come all the way to our belly for pre-bow bow. If you prefer instead to do the standing quad stretch, remember you can always grab a hold of a wall or something to steady the balance part of it. In both of these versions of the pose, what's key is that when we grab our ankles, our knees sometimes wants to come to the outside. So when you're ready, either on your belly or standing, reignite so that the knees come back into that neutral alignment. It's as if you weren't holding your ankle. Keeping the glutes engaged, that really creates safety for your back. And if you're ready to create bow, nice long inhale. Shoulder heads are already anchored back. Press the ankles back and let it open up that heart space. Now, this is a challenging shape to breathe in. So it's going to go pretty fast. Do your best. Big inhale. Softening on the exhale again. Remember to keep your neck neutral. We're not trying to look forward. One more. Yoga toes. Maybe you even press your feet a little towards the sky. And release. Either resting on your belly or child's pose. Press the butt back by the heels. Tune in. So as our breath gets faster with our efforts, it's really fun to notice that we can moderate it, though, just by attending to it, being present with it for a moment, intending to bring it deeper into the full abdomen, chest, ribs, upper back, you name it. Take another deep one. See if you can find a new space to fill. Also a great time for a sip of water or something. Again, stay hydrated. We're going to be meeting up in on our feet, sideways on our mat, essentially in straddle. Although we're not really going to be staying static like that. We're doing something that I kind of think of as almost a tick-tock kind of clock pendulum movement. So you can just start off with hands on your hips if you'd like. So kind of like that ice skating thing where we're going to side, but this time we are going to side and we're lifting, we're raising a leg. And this is going to really work that outer leg in a different way. And if you have your hands on the outsides of the hips there, you can feel that too. Keep the foot flexed if you can. Now you've got an option to stay here. And if you want, you can add those arms again. And you can make this a beautiful dance. There's no race here, and you don't have to do it fast to get the effects of both the muscle work and the cardio. You also have the option, if you would like, to come into a fold and try and raise the legs from there. And this takes a little more awareness of the idea of pushing the floor away with the floor leg to get that flying leg up there. And some of your hips or thighs may not appreciate this, and you may come back to TikTok, but it can feel really good. So a few more breaths, one place or another. Last couple of breaths. And pause. Bring those feet together, prayer hands, and close your eyes. Now, with our feet together, it's more of a balance challenge. So if that's too much, you can spread them out again. Otherwise, see if you can close your eyes. Notice that beautiful heartbeat of yours. You've been doing some just awesome, awesome work. And I hope you're feeling it throughout your body, trying to really work ourselves fully, three-dimensionally. I want to come into a pose that I really love for the front body opening and stretch that it gives us. It gives us a chance to really notice which muscles are working. But I want to just say camel pose, which is what we're going to be playing with, is easy if you're not paying attention or it's new to you and you kind of are distracted by all the details to have it get kind of ouchy in the low back, and we do not want to do that. So I actually want to start off standing, and some of us that may be the version that we want to do, and then I will come down onto my knees to show the more classic version. But I often do the standing version and integrate it with my regular kind of flow practice. So for this, we're going to take our hands and fists and we're going to place them right back here, kind of just to either side of the sacral triangle or a little higher, kind of anywhere in here that feels good. And I really want my shoulder heads anchored, elbows kind of moving towards each other. And this is key. I'm going to keep my head straight. I don't want to be lifting up in the effort. When I think about creating a back bend, a lot of us, will lift our head. And I don't want that tension in the front of the neck. So I'm going to keep it real soft. Tongue is soft, gaze is soft. And as you're ready, just inhale and sweep the right arm up. And then exhale, return. And as you're doing this, inhale, sweep up with the left arm. You're pressing the glutes firmly forward. It's as if there's a wall in front of you that curves, and you're going to kind of try and press your body into that curve. So as you progressively feel ready, you can start adding the ribs. And it's as if you're kind of trying to send your shoulder blade wingtips into the front of the body. Now, if you want to take your head all the way looking up, and you can do so without dropping the head back, that's a fine thing to do for a moment because you're doing it with the body and it doesn't really activate those muscles. So you can be playing with that. And then if you're wanting to deepen it, you can hold and even turn the face and the head down. If you're going to practice camel with me on your knees, just note that some of us find that the floor can be a little bit aggressive on the kneecaps, so you might add a little cushioning. And I find it most comfortable to do this with my toes curled under. Not everybody will, but it's also easier because my heel is closer if I decide I want to try and reach the heel, which is an option here. But so one option in the kneeling version is just to do essentially what you did standing. You start with that same glute contraction, imagining that wall, fists behind you, and you just reach up with one arm. And you'll notice if you hold there, it's a lot of work and stretch at the same time. So we're strengthening and stretching. If you'd like, you could release the free hand and see if you could connect with your heel. The easiest way will be to just kind of press with your index and middle finger to kind of support, If you go down to kind of cupping, it's a deeper pose. And if you start to feel that little thing in the low back, that's where I'd want you to come right back up. And let's switch, taking the other hand up. Keep igniting those glutes forward. Send the rib cage forward. If you want, send the free hand down towards the heel. And I should have mentioned that when you're doing this, the feet need to be straight back from the knees. If they're inward, it's going to be harder and not really great for your spine. Either version, when you are done, folding forward can feel great. So if you're on your knees, maybe you just want to come right into child's pose. And if you're standing, you could drape yourself into ragdoll. Really directing breath into the low back. And it usually happens at that very kind of end of the expansion of the inhale. So make sure to be patient, intentional with it. All right. And if that's just feeling so good and you're not ready to come out yet, you don't have to. Otherwise, I'm going to invite us to return to plank. And I'm going to be offering some things that build a little more heat. We've had a lot of cold weather, and I feel like the more we can learn how to rev up our furnace from the inside, the happier we are. So you can come from your elbows or forearms, I should say, and knees and step back into forearm plank, or you can come from the belly like we did before. What I'm offering you generally is difficult to do if you're doing a knee down version. So if you're doing knee down, you might just stay with that. Otherwise, come on up to your feet. You could also do table and add what we're about to add, which is a limb extension. We're removing one limb from our balancing here. So when you're ready, press back through 1 foot at a time. Remember, you're flexing through the heel, so you're just releasing it a few inches off and reaching for the wall behind you. And release, settle, tune into your breath. And next I'm going to be offering a frog pose, kind of, if you will. And this is really, really great for heat up and side body. And so the version you would do here in the forearm plank is on the exhale, firmly bringing one knee towards that same tricep. So left knee towards left tricep, holding through the whole exhale, then returning for the inhale. So if you would go ahead and do that at least a couple times each side. An alternate to that could be if you're in table pose and you can get your knee high enough to kind of feel some of that same contraction, or just in your kind of cat back and wag. So if I squeeze one hip towards one shoulder, kind of making a C shape on one side and shortening on the other, I'm similarly squeezing some of that side body. So that would be a good alternate. Good. And when you are done, release. We're going to come onto our back body. And I want to do tonight, we're going to do a little robot at the end, which may surprise you. But I'm really interested in doing a like mini robot. If you want to do it the way you normally do it, just go for it, okay? But what I like about this is I think it gives us a chance to make sure that we are really working our core to its optimal ability. And that's where some of the heat comes too. So first, just bring your knees tight to belly. Give yourself a little spinal rock side to side. Don't worry, we've got some great resting coming up. We often say that your rest is only as good as the effort in your yoga. So it's what helps relax your body and your mind. Let's take a nice long inhale. Really nourish yourself with oxygen. Exhale. Ground down, root down, belly to spine, just like you've done in compression breath or any sit-up motion. And then slowly take the knees away from you until they're directly above the hips, heels straight forward. Check that your legs are parallel but not touching. Feet are flexed. Now, I want you to notice, have you already given up your low back? Reroot it. I want it rooted like if you had a scale under there, you could make it read, 30 or 50 pounds of pressure. It's not just touching, you're pressing. And I want you to keep pressing like that. Maybe have your hands on the abdomen for awareness. Big inhale. You can always soften on the inhale if you need to. Exhale, press, and slowly just take one heel and knee forward a few inches, maybe 5, 6 inches, something like that. And I'd like you to just pause. Notice what it takes to stay rooted and to breathe here. It can be quite a challenge. When you feel ready, you'll just come on back and we'll explore the other side. Nice long inhale. Exhale, root. Slide that other foot and knee forward, maybe 6 inches. One of the things I like about holding here is it gives me a chance to notice, am I activating my neck? Because I don't need to be. It doesn't help. But do I have that habit? Come on back. Give it a little rest a moment. And then when you're ready, we'll come on back and I'm going to invite you to add the arms. So starting with your neutral position straight up above your chest. It's like you're holding a loaf of bread. Exhale, root. Slowly take one heel again, just about 6 inches, and then extend your opposite arm all the way towards the wall behind you. Good. Breathe. Stay rooted. See if you can slowly make that foot go a little further towards the floor. Remember, the knee stays bent. And I want you to stop at the place that you feel you can do your best work. Neck is soft. If you're not quivering, you're not doing this right. And come on back. Whew, you might want to take a little break before that other side. All right, as you're ready, feet flex, legs parallel, not touching, arms up, big inhale. Exhale, root. Take that other leg forward about 6 inches, then the opposite arm reaching for the wall behind you. Hold, notice. Notice, by the way, too, if your leg that's supposed to not move has moved towards you. Make sure you get it back into that 90-degree hip angle. And then ever so slowly, while being rooted, while breathing, take your heel a little more towards the floor. Find your best place. Breathe. And when you're ready, come on back. Plant the feet, touching each other, and let the knees simply come out in a butterfly. If you're not already smiling a little bit, satisfied at yourself for all the beautiful work you've done, this would be a great time to smile inward at your amazing body. So wise, so strong. Then take your feet wide, and we're just going to do a gentle little windshield wiper. So I'm going to take my right knee towards the center of the mat, and then the left. And we're interested, is one side different? The next time the right knee is down, invitation to send the right arm up and back, and just breathe there. And we'll switch, left knee down, left arm up and back. And then as you're ready, grab your block, or if you don't have that, you could use like a folded up throw or towel. But we'd like to set the object under that sacral triangle and not higher. And so slowly give your hips and your weight to the object. And it should feel really good. It should feel like a really nice decompression of that low back, especially if it got a little bit funny during camel pose. Would it feel good to extend your legs? If your pelvis kind of tilts downward or you get a big arch in the back, you might want to then move the block a little further down. We want to just feel sort of perfectly suspended, and it should be comfortable. If you feel any pinching, etc., adjust it or come off. The advantage of the legs straight, if you're able to do that, is the stretch through the same hip flexor psoas area I was referring to before. The more you can emphasize deep abdominal breath here, the more you'll feel that. Hmm. When you're complete, bend the knees again, gently raise the hips, and come on down. Might be nice to bring the knees to the belly, again, a little spinal rocking. And then I also want to offer the other restorative pose with either the block underneath the rib cage, so you kind of come up onto your elbows to place that, or if that is kind of awkward on your neck when you try to drop your head back, because the block's pretty high, I would love to have you add a blanket, a pillow, some socks, a sweatshirt under your head so that there's a beautiful elongated curve in the neck. There's no head dropping all the way back and compressing the spine. The shoulder blades are not on the block at all. They're above it. And again, you can have knees bent, or it might feel good to straighten the legs. If so, try taking them wide. Really let your body spread out and get out of that forward path of motion of daily life. Turn your gaze inward. Witness breath massaging you. When you are complete and you're ready to come off your object of support, you will want to roll a little to one side. So again, you're not lifting and cranking on the neck. But then I'd like you to notice what would feel good. Are you ready to just settle right into a corpse pose? Do you want to put something under your knees, cover yourself with a shawl? Do you want to send your legs kind of bent up onto an ottoman or couch in that kind of 90 degrees, getting a little bit of a nice kind of inversion for those? Do you want to send them straight up a wall? Butterfly legs. So please take time here to explore. And as you're settling, I'm going to begin talking through a pranayama or breath practice that is can be wonderfully meditative. It's our breath locks. If you're just so relaxed and you don't want to follow along with that, just settle on in to your shavasana or yogic sleep. The breath locks can be very, very relaxing, especially if you are not struggling or striving. And that is the goal, to just be relaxed. So gather a nice slow inhalation. Exhale gently and hold out. External breath lock, external kumbhaka. As you're holding out, notice the sensations. Notice the initial instinct to breathe and try to hold with awareness just past that. Asking, can I soften? Can I melt around this? When appropriate, let the inhale rise and hold in internal breath lock. Scanning your body, inviting it to soften, particularly in the neck, tongue, lung space. Maybe you can hear your heartbeat. Again, notice the initial instinct to breathe. Hold just past that. Can I soften more? And when appropriate, let it go. Inviting you to do a couple more rounds, and you can just go directly into the second round, or you can take some neutral breaths and settle in again, beginning with the exhale, holding out, inhale, holding in. I invite you to notice what this breath practice feels like to you. Is it relaxing? Is it a lovely place to put your mental attention? Is it a little anxiety building? I think it's important to share with you that some people do find themselves feeling a little bit anxious, sometimes on the holding out or the holding in. It just depends on the person. And if that's the case for you, I'd invite you to consider using this breath practice as a way to experiment with kind of coaching yourself to relax around something that makes you nervous or stressed out. I love it because it's such a safe thing, right? You get to decide when you'd like to breathe. And so you just get to observe your body's responses and you become more schooled at um, seducing the body into letting go. It's a really powerful place to practice that subtly. I'm going to be closing our practice with the bowl. And if you enjoy oming, inviting you to create your own sound and vibration, you might place a hand on the chest and one on the belly, or both at your heart space, and really feel the vibration in your body that is echoing that of the bowl. Om Shanti Shanti. Om Peace Peace. Namaste.